Hey, it's Soul with your reference guide to gearing in patch 12.1 and Season 2. This is the kind of guide that removes all that sense of wonder and discovery and just answers the question of where the thing's at. I'm assuming you're fairly geared, so what I'm going to do is direct you where to go and mostly skip the stuff that you probably outgear already. The guide is going to be divided into basically two parts, the first week and then the second week and beyond. Please like this video, subscribe for more WoW coverage, and catch me where I'm live. Week 1 of the patch is typically more limited in scope. Gear at the hero and higher level track are non-existent, and champion gear is few and far between. There are a few things to be aware of first. One spot you might want to check out is the Field Accolade vendor in Silvermoon City. On the PTR, they sell soulbound loot boxes for a random veteran piece. These cost 500 accolades. To target a specific slot, these cost 750. Now, honestly, I'm not 100% certain Blizzard's going to be cool with making older zone content such a focal part of Week 1 gearing, but if you have some spare accolades, see if this vendor's offering gear and consider picking it up right away in case these purchases are suddenly taken away. Speaking of veteran gear to possibly get, there's what might be a bug too, but you should check this out anyway. On the PTR, the renowned quartermasters in each zone who offered a piece of gear for completing their related zone activity are offering that quest again, only this time for a Season 2 veteran and not champion gear. This is great for fresh ult obviously, but this could be a PTR bug, so don't be surprised if your characters who have done this before cannot do them again, but it's worth taking a look. You can go in whatever order you like, but ideally this week you want to spend time unlocking features, and from testing, they work out pretty smooth. The Prey and Delve campaigns are straightforward, and to get those started, just visit the respective hubs. If you want to do the campaign, and you should, you'll be directed to the main hub in Zul'Aman. But if you're already decently geared and want the best gear the fastest, you can just dive straight into Mythic Zero dungeons for 292s. Just keep in mind Mythic Zeros are on a weekly lockout for this week only, and you have all week to do this. So I say one of the first things to maybe do is pick up the weeklies over at the usual spots near the center of Silvermoon. Early crests and other gear may prove useful, and you'll earn crafting sparks to make gear. I advise picking up the Prey quest along with a hunt, as it may direct you to the new zone anyway. Then run the campaign. It's fairly lengthy, but it's not so bad, and it'll take you all the way to the end of campaign quest that asks you to complete the raid next week for a champion level ring. Most of what's offered on the surface won't give great gear, but if Delves and Prey are your endgame, you'll be spending a good bit of time here grinding mobs and activities so you can power up your character with special world tier buffs and powers. Quests will explain it all, but you'll progress down a tree that gives the different perks. Farming up the occasional souls will unlock powers over time, and these powers, which are shared across the warband by the way, can be taken to Prey and Delves. Once again, if that happens to be your endgame, time spent here is time spent well. One of the weeklies here awards this Venom Cursed Fragment. Collect 2 and put them together to make some special champion gear. On the PTR, there are 2 versions of this quest, a campaign quest and a recurring weekly quest. I don't know for sure if both will be up during this first week, but if they are, sweet, it's a piece of champion gear to get. Layers, aka the world boss, is also here on its easiest difficulty, which gives veteran gear. It should be worth the quick visit. What you do this week will give credit towards the Great Vault. I advise filling this up with everything as usual to get the best chance at, well, anything. Tier 8 Delves will be your top prize concerning item level, but you may also consider picking up a Void Core instead, new to this patch. From testing, these appear to have no cap, and they give gear equivalent to what you would get from the Great Vault depending on your activity. We're still in the Week 1 section though, so I'll revisit this conversation later. We'll also have an opportunity to start our crafting journey. Most of you are likely to go for weapons, and depending on your realm, there ought to be plenty of folks able to craft a weapon with your first set of sparks. Unfortunately, the path of using veteran crests or PvP heraldries won't be very effective, especially if you already have a piece of Mythcrat gear further boosted with Season 1 Void Cores. So, quick checklist. You want to pick up the weeklies in town, especially for crafting sparks. Do the campaign for a potential piece of champion gear and to get ready for the raid quest. Introduce yourself into the zone content with layers and delves and prey. Check field accolade vendors and faction quartermasters in case there's easy veteran gear to earn. Then cross your fingers and dive into Mythic Zeros for champion gear. And that's kind of it. Like I said, I'm assuming you're already fairly geared, so I'd rather not trouble you with the world quests and ritual sites, but that's basically where to go if you are in fact a very freshly geared character. There are additional sources of gear grinding too, but personally I don't think that's time well spent. Week 2 of the patch is when things really open up. Your first stop should probably be the Great Vault to see what you get, and it's really going to be tempting to pick up a Void Core. Void Cores are said to work in such a way that what you get is equal to the Great Vault. There are huge repercussions to this because of some changes, but this is just the start of your day. Typically, you should hold off on your choice of Vault prize after your other gearing options are exhausted. Pick up the Silvermoon Weeklies for a crafting spark and to score your 2 veteran pieces of gear off Pinnacle caches, so do whatever zone activity is your favorite. Also drop by Astalor's place and choose your first Nightmare Prey target. I suggest whatever's in the Coiled Isle. Run 2 Nightmare Preys, preferably 2 for the champion gear, and complete the weekly down in the vaults of O'Toole Tech. While the champion gear from this weekly is going to come slow, during the season this quest gives a Trove Hunter's bounty to score you a piece of hero gear as long as you run a high enough tier. You can continue to run Prey and complete the weekly quest to get the item that summons the Delph Nemesis, which then gives the Trove Hunter's bounty too. Now this is an item you can save for later or give to an alt. Raid Finder Wing 1 will be available with other raid difficulties and requires an item level of 273. I suggest running these just in the hopes of completing a tier set bonus sooner than later. Whether they're important or not depends on your spec, and in most cases it's not likely breaking your 4-piece is worth it. Dells will be another good early stop. Blow all your bountiful keys each day on high-level Dells for the champion gear. Whether the pieces are good or not, they might help unlock upgrade tiers you now no longer have to spend crests for. Another early goal to consider hitting is to reach rank 4 on the Delve reward track. That way you can start earning a handful of myth crests after clearing tier 11 delves. During this time you'll also likely pick up the Cracked Keystone quest that has you run any level key for more myth crests. It's not much, but unless you're able to regularly run +9 dungeons for crests, delves can be a nice buffer. Between this and Prey, it's a lot of easy crest income overall for later upgrades. Lairs will also be a stop to make, but not just for that veteran gear. Multiple difficulties will open up and you may find yourself parked here for a bit, finding groups to take down the normal, the heroic, and mythic version of the lair boss in hopes of high-end gear. You want to take a look at the loot table because gear is pretty limited and your time here depends on what your class or spec needs. Your goal as usual is to break into the pinata that is Mythic Plus. +6s are when hero gear starts dropping at the end of a run. +9s are when you start earning myth crests, and +10s are when myth track gear drops from the Great Vault. It's also the ideal keystone level to use a Void Core if you're trying to target a certain piece of gear, as it'll give the myth track version. But in terms of kitting yourself out in hero track quickly and to try and skip crest upgrades, it's gonna be a grind sure, but nothing beats keys for this. This time around though, raids are no slouch either. Consider knocking out your favorite difficulty this week to complete the raid quest, or wait until the following week when story mode's available. I want to revisit the idea of Void Cores though. Raiders now get to enjoy the same benefits as keys where they only have to spend 1 Void Core to roll for a piece of gear, and that piece will roll 1 tier higher than the current content, because that's how the vault's going to work now too. Whatever difficulty you run, what you see in the vault is 1 upgrade track higher. Meaning for raiders, they just need to defeat heroic bosses in order to earn myth track gear via Void Core or the Great Vault. There are a few Void Core tips to consider, that is if you have the self-control of hoarding Void Cores and, well, basically not getting anything from the Great Vault. Targeting a best in slot item for +10 keys is still a very good idea. The more you focus on Void Cores instead of the Vault, the sooner you'll get that piece you want as you slowly knock out other items in the dungeon or boss pool. For those of you who participate in mythic raids, you might want to save your rolls specific for those bosses. By that I mean you always want to have a Void Core available for said boss. An advantage for raiders exposes itself at the highest level keys, where a few pieces of raid gear on mythic can drop at a higher item level than anything else in the season, at least for now. The consequences of this won't manifest until late in Season 2. During the early season, the Great Vault will reveal choices, but if we don't like those choices, we can take a Void Core and take our chances out in the field. In fact, I personally recommend that over choosing something in the vaults almost every time. Unless the vault loot is your best in slot, it doesn't seem worth it. The Catalyst also comes into play with tippity-top gearing. In Season 2, the Catalyst will retain the secondary stats and cantrip effects of gear even after transforming it into your class set. It seems kind of overwhelming at first, but the repercussions aren't what I would say is game-breaking. Now this does let top gamers alter their best in slot pieces for gear in tier slots. Keeping cantrip effects though, it's a bit less useful I think, like there are very few pieces this effect will work with. If someone wants the cantrip, they'll be taking those associated secondary stats too, and the effect itself, it might not be worth the trade-off, so I'd say focus on optimizing secondary stats instead. A word on crests. The sooner you reach certain item level thresholds on your gear, the sooner your alts can take advantage of that discount. So I typically advise working up a single character first to unlock those discounts. Once again, keys are a great way of doing this. The weird crest upgrade trick is still in effect, where for example, fully upgrading a piece of champion gear will make it the equivalent of a rank 2 piece of hero gear, meaning you've unlocked that upgrade level and you won't have to spend extra hero crest to upgrade from rank 1 to rank 2. Small potatoes, but in some cases it feels worth it. So my advice, as usual is to never upgrade gear below the hero track. Wait until your item level has plateaued a bit before using crests. Hold on to the gear you're earning, notably the champion gear, and use the trick to save on a few crests while upgrading hero gear. Employ the same trick once you start earning myth track gear. Early on, your myth crest investments are probably best spent with crafted gear. This will help max out your item level pacing in case your RNG is just kind of crap. If you happen to hit the crest cap every week, that is great. You just want to make sure that you have enough myth crest to guarantee a craft every other week. So at the start of the season and moving forward, here's what to do. Pick up the Silver Moon weeklies for crafting sparks. Check out the Great Vault for a cool choice or a void core. Choose a nightmare prey target, probably on the Coiled Isle. Knock out your prey target and complete the weekly for the Trove Hunter's bounty. Then finish prey to your satisfaction, then go off to delves. Run bountiful delves at the highest level you can, preferably 11s for myth crests. Run Raid Finder if you're desperate for tier set resources, then return to the Coiled Isle and try to clear every layer difficulty. Finally, it's off to Mythic Plus and Raids to hopefully get some gear using a Void Core where appropriate. Just like in Season 1, the gearing plateau is pretty high, well into the hero level of gear just before things start to really slow down. After which you're restricted to at least one myth piece of gear per week through Void Cores, and more if you happen to be a regular Mythic Raider. Roughly every other week, you'll also have an opportunity to craft myth level gear if you've been earning enough myth level crests. During these first 2 months, in my opinion, item level is king. Later on, gearing opportunities will naturally grow, enabling easier targeting of our super best-in-slot pieces, not to mention whatever fangled features will come in mid-patches like Labyrinth Delves, but that's later. For now, I hope this all helps. A link to the gearing charts is in the video description. Please like this video, subscribe for more WoW coverage, catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.